The future is a powerful marketing tool. It is often used to show that a product or brand is cutting edge, years ahead of the competition. Associating your brand with the future also suggests staying power. It is built to last. It will still exist decades from now. Using the future to sell is nothing new. You can find examples from well over a century ago, but few times in history have seen the promises seemingly delivered more than the millennium. Y2K. This has been a theme here as of late, but we really were living in the future. Culturally, philosophically, this was the true arrival of the information age. We were all connected, the internet, there were a ton of new devices and so many possibilities, so much optimism for what was next, all with an underlying sense of dread that maybe things had gone too far, maybe all of this progress and reliance on tech would be our undoing, that this trust in technology would bring about the end of the world. These ideas were reflected in what has since been contextualized as the Y2K aesthetic, which is what we're going to be talking about today in the Videocast. We'll be looking at some of the advertising and products that embodied or informed the aesthetic, as well as some related aesthetics, some history, the future, and the stores that were selling us this future. As always, I'm your host Brian, and this video is made possible thanks to our patrons over at patreon.com/pixandportraits. There's a new video over there right now looking at some of my favorite defunct retail stores and trends. $5 get you access to that, and dozens of other videos, as well as digital copies of my book, The Nostalgia Economy, which is all about collecting and the price of memories. We also have physical copies, t-shirts, like, comment, share, hype. That's a new feature, apparently. Do that too, please. I'm sure it helps. Support us any way that you can. Now, I'd like to start with a little bit of context for Y2K. This was an abbreviation of year 2000. The term was coined by programmer David Eddy to describe a possible computer bug resulting from the way computers had always been programmed. Due to the high cost of memory, whenever dates were used, they were formatted with 2 digits instead of 4, so 99 instead of 1999, saving the memory. The fear was, because the first 2 digits would be changing with the rollover to 2000, systems would think it was the year 1900 and crash, planes would fall out of the sky, nukes would launch, society was going to collapse, the world was going to end. Playing off of this hysteria, an entire industry popped off, people selling Y2K emergency kits, survival guides and tools, MRE meals, very much in line with modern prepping, buy lots of food, and guns. Some religious groups claimed it would be the apocalypse, grifters grifting. Obviously, the world didn't end. Companies hired programmers to ensure their systems were Y2K compliant. There were minimal issues, but certainly nothing like what was feared. A quarter century later, when this period is looked back on, the Y2K bug itself is often minimized in favor of the optimism that was prevalent, or how it gets remembered. For years, the year 2000 had taken on a sort of mythical quality, the distant year 2000, synonymous with the future, and brands, advertisers really leaned into this. They communicated these ideas and feelings aesthetically, while at the same time delivering products that were truly innovative that hadn't been seen before. At heart, this is what the Y2K aesthetic represents. Aesthetics are defined visually, but they can also embody or express values or ideologies, and a huge part of the Y2K aesthetic is Futurism. The visual qualities or characteristics associated with the aesthetic include lots of bright, vibrant colors, chrome, clean design, as well as cooler colors, blues, purples, softer pinks, bubbly shapes. Early CGI is big with the aesthetic. It's hard to describe just how new this stuff felt at the time. The move from 2D to 3D was massive. Don't think we'll be seeing anything like that anytime soon. Despite being dubbed Y2K, the period this aesthetic is rooted in ranges between 1997 and 2004. And if you lived through it, you know the world changed quite a bit between 1997 and 2004. 9/11 really put a damper on that optimism for the future. Check out our video on the Mall at the World Trade Center for more on that. But given the Y2K aesthetic has been contextualized all these years later, certain aesthetic trends continued, we see, well past the millennium. There are also similar aesthetics from both decades, the 90s and the 2000s, that get lumped in with Y2K. Vector art, which uses vector shapes and lines to futuristic effect, think Wipeout. Metal art, this was popular in screensavers and media player interfaces, or 90s cool, heavily inspired by movies like The Matrix, sunglasses and trench coats. Into the 2000s, McBling, very loud, kitschy or tacky jewelry, phone cases, bright, glitter, cheap luxury. Chrome core, a lot of early cell phones embody this, the Nintendo DS, the Discman as well. All of these overlap with the Y2K aesthetic conceptually and aesthetically, and as we've seen, technology played a big part. A big complaint on modern tech is that it isn't fun anymore, but the translucent technology of Y2K is a hallmark of the era. The iMac G3, which came in many different colors. Traditionally, PCs were gray towers with gray monitors. The G3 was sleek, it was simple to use, just plug and play. The fantastic N64 color variants are another example of this. This commercial is wild and definitely of the time. More examples from Nintendo, the Game Boy Advance and the SP. The latter is more Chrome core, but again, there is bleed over there. Also something or someplace very near and dear to my heart, Future Shop, Canadian tech retailer. Founded in the 80s, their marketing always had a futuristic bent, obviously, given the name, and from 1998 to around 2002, their commercials were very much in line with the Y2K aesthetic. Some great design here. I talked about Future Shop over on Patreon recently. They were bought out by Best Buy, who I was surprised didn't really have these sorts of ads. They did have this though. This always gets shared around New Year's, a Best Buy notice sticker telling you to turn off your computer at midnight on New Year's Eve, 1999. Of course, because of Y2K. The Y2K aesthetic is apparently very popular with Gen Z. I love this. I am a textbook millennial. This was my childhood, and during this period, I was looking back fondly on 1980s aesthetics, despite barely being alive in that decade. I guess aging has been fun in that way. You can find a bunch of modern designs that use the aesthetic, their interpretation of it, fondly remembering a time they weren't alive for. The exciting or fun part of the era lives on in the Y2K aesthetic, the hope, the optimism. As for the dread, the fears that technology will be the end of us, well, we're still living with that too. Anyway, let me know what you think. What memories do you have of Y2K? Was there anything that I missed? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, share, hype, and if you have the means, please consider tossing us a few bucks on Patreon. Read the Nostalgia Economy. As always, thank you so much for your interest in this channel, and thanks for watching. See you in the future.